All right, so I want to talk to you guys about why bulking should be your priority over cutting, especially when you're drug-free, when you're a natural lifter. So first of all, I want to guarantee you guys that your dream physique, your goal physique has a lot more muscle mass than you realize. And it's all too common in the fitness industry for people to tell you or promote the message of, okay, you're not happy with your physique, you want to look better, you got to cut, you got to cut, you got to cut, you got to lose body fat. And what these people don't understand is that, that there is some truth to that, but the majority of the demographic of people watching fitness content and getting into training on the internet are beginners. And beginners don't have that base of muscle mass yet. They have no muscle, and they're hearing the message of, okay, I want to look better, then I gotta cut, I gotta cut. And it creates small lifters, guys. That message is largely responsible for the lack of progress, especially in drug-free lifters and in people in general, just not seeing the results they want. So it's very easy to tell people, yeah, like cut, you're gonna look better, because cutting takes no fucking time. Cutting takes 2 to 3 months of the year if you're doing things right. So it's easy to tell people, yeah, you want to transform your physique, you got to cut. And then, they create this illusion of a transformation within a couple months. But it's not really a transformation, because if you see them in person, they're tiny. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Maybe this will resonate with you. But what happened to me was, I was under that mentality of, okay, I'm not happy with my physique. I got to focus on cutting. I got to get lean. That's where I'm going to look the best. So what I would do is I would tell myself, 5 more pounds, and then we'll hop on a bulk. Then we'll prioritize gaining muscle and strength. 5 more pounds and I'll look better. So I would lose the 5 pounds and I would not look better. And then I would tell myself, let's lose 5 more pounds, then I'll be better. And then I would end up looking worse. So I would lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. And before you knew it, I was like borderline anorexic, like malnourished looking. I was like 115 or 120 pounds. And that's what that mentality got me, is I looked worse, I looked worse. And then I ended up really skinny, very, very skinny, and as I said, malnourished looking. So that's what that does. And the reason why is because I didn't have any muscle mass underneath. And most beginners aren't going to have any muscle mass because it takes time to build that base. So really the point is that the reason why bulking needs to be your priority is because, first of all, you're going to look your best when you have, a good chunk of muscle mass underneath. And cutting's gonna become a lot easier because you're not gonna have to cut much to reveal that muscle mass. And fat loss just doesn't take much time. Fat loss, if you're doing things right, you only need about 2 to 3 months each year to prioritize losing fat. So it makes sense to prioritize gaining muscle because fat loss occurs within a couple months. Significant amounts of muscle growth takes years to build. It takes years. So it does not make sense to extend that process by always worrying about being lean, being shredded, eating in a calorie deficit, because what it does is it creates an illusion of a transformation and a good physique, but only on camera. And if you want to actually look like you lift, if you want to have that respectable natural physique, you're going to need to be a lot bigger than you expect. You're going to have to put on a lot more muscle mass than you think. So your goal physique, the people you watch probably, and you aspire to have their physique, they have a lot more muscle mass than you realize. A lot more muscle mass than you realize. And it takes time, guys. It takes time to reach that. So that's why you need to prioritize bulking. So I'm going to give you guys a little rule that I created. And this rule ensures, if you guys have read any of my blog posts, you'll be familiar with this rule. I created it to ensure that as natural lifters, we focus on prioritizing getting to that muscular potential, because that's when things get good. That needs to be your priority because, as I said, that's what takes the longest to achieve. You can cut fat, you can get shredded in a few months. So you need to prioritize putting on the muscle, putting on the strength, bulking. So the rule is that until you've hit 9 to 10 months of the year bulking, don't even think about cutting. So once you've hit 9 to 10 months, you have the green light to go ahead and cut. So I call it the 9-3 rule. So 9 months bulking. For every 9 months of bulking, you've earned 3 months of cutting. So that's really the rule. That ensures that you're prioritizing getting closer to your muscular potential. And the other thing to note is that if you're a beginner, you should be spending the first 2 years in a calorie surplus, bulking steadily. Because, as I said, cutting's not going to do anything for you when you're a beginner, because you're cutting you can't chisel a pebble, guys. You're cutting to reveal the lack of muscle mass that you have. That's essentially what you're doing if you cut as a beginner. So your priority needs to be putting on that first chunk, that getting your noob gains done. So like one of the biggest mistakes I made is, as I said, I was focused more on staying lean, cutting, thinking that cutting is gonna get me to my goals. and I completely missed out on my noob gains, and it took me so much longer to get to make that big chunk of progress, and I could have done it so much quicker, but I was focused on being in a fucking calorie deficit, always eating less, focusing on being lean, and I robbed myself of so much progress. So it took me a lot longer to make those gains, because as a beginner you're in a beautiful stage to make so much fucking progress. You know, the first couple years of lifting, you can pack on so much muscle mass so quickly. And you don't even need, you know, as you get more advanced into lifting, you need to put on a bit of fat with the muscle, or else, you know, it's going to take so long to put on any sort of muscle and strength. So it's important to understand, as you get more advanced, you're going to need to gain some fat with the muscle. It's inevitable. It's how things work as a drug-free lifter. But when you're a beginner, you actually don't need to put on much fat. You actually really don't. You can gain a steady, you know, pound, maybe 2 pounds per month. And, you know, if you have maybe you're skinny fat and you focus on putting on that muscle, you're actually going to appear leaner after the 2 years, even though you were bulking, because you have the muscle mass underneath now. So that's important to note as well, is that, you know, you're so focused on being lean, but if you focus on putting on that muscle, you're going to create the illusion of being leaner because you have more mass underneath. So that is really important to know. So I don't want you guys to perceive this as me saying that you need to get fat, because it's not the case. You really don't need to get fat. But the message really I'm trying to get across is that worrying so much about being shredded, maintaining razor sharp abs, it's going to keep you small. It's going to stop you from reaching your goals. And if you guys can just apply a bit of, you know, delayed gratification, that's one of the beautiful things about lifting, building your physique, is that it teaches you that very, very valuable skill in life, which is, you know, to avoid instant gratification, which is so prevalent in today's society from all the social media, instant hits of dopamine. And if you guys, I find fitness actually teaches you that lesson very well, is that if you can delay gratification, you're going to see better results. So a lot of people try to get instant gratification from getting shredded, from seeing the definition abs. But if you delay the gratification, you know, maybe not be as shredded, you can still be lean, have some definition, because, you know, as you know, one of the best things to do is that after that first 2 years of bulking as a beginner, you can then go on a little cut, trim off any of the excess body fat you might have gained, and then begin the cycling of bulking and cutting. As I said, 9 to 10 months of bulking each year, followed by 2 to 3 months of cutting. So if you can accept a little bit of fat gain, delay that gratification of seeing the shreds right away, then you're going to be so much better off for it, guys. Trust me. So you may not look as insane because of the shreds and all that, but you will look bigger in person. You're not going to look as good on camera, but further down the line, guys, you're going to be fucking hitting your goals. You're going to be like, oh shit, like this is some significant progress, because you allowed yourself to bulk, fucking eat more, put on that muscle, put on that strength. So delay the gratification and want to see those fucking razor sharp abs right away. You know, focus on the bulking, focus on putting on the muscle, the strength, and trust me, you're gonna look in the mirror and be like, holy shit. Once you actually end up cutting significantly after the period of, you know, like focusing on the eating more, bulking for quite some time, you're gonna look fucking fantastic. You're gonna trump most people. You're gonna be that guy in the gym that everyone turns their heads. They're like, holy shit. Like, people will question if you're on gear or not, because it's so irregular for naturals to have like incredible physiques, because of this mentality of focusing on being shredded all the time instead of bulking, putting on the size, getting big, and putting on the strength. So that's really it for this video, guys. Obviously, I covered mostly just the nutrition side of things. Like, training is very simple. You know, you got your handful of big key lifts, big compound lifts, you know, your deadlift, squats, bench, dips, rows, overhead press, weighted chin-ups. You have your lifts and you focus on, you know, adding the strength to it. That's what's going to get you big. And I have plenty of other content. You know, I could go into great depth on this topic as well, but I have plenty of other content talking about training and my training approach. So you guys can check that out. And you guys can check out the blog post I wrote with this. I write blog posts along with the videos that go into depth on some more things that I don't cover in the videos. So you guys definitely want to check that out. Hop on my mailing list. I'm starting to give out really solid content each week that's exclusive to my mailing list. So you guys definitely want to hop on that. And I'll talk to you next time.